Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'm reading chapter 3 of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Chapter 3 is the sheathed sword. To fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. In the practical art of war, the best thing of all is to take the enemy's country whole and intact. To shatter and destroy, it is not so good. So too, it is better to capture an army entire than to destroy it. To capture a regiment, a detachment, or a company entire than to destroy them. Thus, the highest form of generalship is to balk the enemy's plans. The next best is to prevent the junction of the enemy's forces. The next in order is to attack the enemy's army in the field. And the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. Because the preparation of mantlets, movable shelters, and various implements of war will take up 3 whole months, and piling up of mounds over against the walls will take 3 months more. The general, unable to control his irritation, will launch his men to the assault like swarming ants, with the result that 1/3 of his men are slain, while the town still remains untaken. Such are the disastrous effects of a siege. The skillful leader subdues the enemy's troops without any fighting. He captures their cities without laying siege to them. He overthrows their kingdom without lengthy operations in the field. With his forces intact, he disputes the mastery of the empire, and thus, without losing a man, his triumph is complete. This is the method of attacking by stratagem, of using the sheathed sword. It is the rule in war. If our forces are 10 to the enemy's 1, to surround him; if 5 to 1, to attack him; if twice as numerous, to divide our army into 2, 1 to meet the enemy in the front and 1 to fall upon his rear. If he replies to the frontal attack, he may be crushed from behind. If to rearward attack, he may be crushed in front. If equally matched, we can offer battle. If slightly inferior in numbers, we can avoid the enemy. If quite unequal in every way, we can flee from him. Though an obstinate fight may be made by a small force, in the end, it must be captured by the larger force. The general is the bulwark of the state. If the bulwark is strong at all points, the state will be strong. If the bulwark is defective, the state will be weak. There are 3 ways in which a sovereign can bring misfortune upon his army: by commanding the army to advance or to retreat, being ignorant of the fact that it cannot obey. This is called hobbling the army. By attempting to govern an army in the same way as he administers a kingdom, being ignorant of the conditions that obtain in an army. This causes restlessness in the soldiers' minds. Humanity and justice are the principles on which to govern a state, but not an army. Opportunism and flexibility, on the other hand, are military rather than civic virtues. By employing the officers of his army without discrimination, through ignorance of the military principles of adaptation to circumstances, this shakes the confidence of the soldiers. Suma Qian, about 100 BC, added to this section: if a general is ignorant of the principle of adaptability, he must not be entrusted with a position of authority. The skillful employer of men will employ the wise man, the brave man, the covetous man, and the stupid man. For the wise man delights in establishing his merit. The brave man likes to show his courage in action. The covetous man is quick at seizing advantages, and the stupid man has no fear of death. When the army is restless and distrustful, trouble is sure to come from the other feudal princes. This is simply bringing anarchy into the army and flinging victory away. Thus, we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all of its ranks. He will win who prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Great words. I'm sure everybody can point to current events and see how. I want to drive one point home, just in case it didn't come through loud and clear. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. That means let the military do their job. And as he talked about, think about China right now. Yeah, China is building up its military, it's pounding its chest, beating its war drum. But in reality, anybody who's been to China, and plus you can see it in any country you are, the Chinese are hardworking, industrious people. You will find that they will have their own businesses in whatever country they're in. It's how they roll. Whether, in the United States, they own a lot of restaurants and dry cleaners, and now they're doing trading packages. I've got a couple Chinese companies next door to me, and it's the craziest thing. They bring in thousands and thousands of packages from Amazon and the other carriers. They're coming in nonstop. And they're buying everything from shampoo to hair, healthcare products to iPhones, everything, as long as it's not perishable. And what they do is they take the boxes and they load up a 20-foot container stacked right to the wall, and they ship it to China. Now, all those products were made in China. They ship to the United States, they pack it up, and then they ship it back to China. So obviously, they're able to put money in their pocket doing that. Okay, now we can discuss that another time, but I'm bringing that up for one purpose. If you go to China as well, people will set up stands and sell things wherever they are. They'll sell it out of the back of their vehicles, off bicycles. So if you go to Yiwu, which is where a lot of the foreigners go to buy these knickknack items that are sold in stores and shops and online around the world, on their building, I don't remember the exact saying, I'd have to look at the video I took, but basically friendship through business, right? Or we want to be your friend, we want to do business, something like that. That's their way of interacting with people. They don't want to go to war, like Sun Tzu said. And the Chinese will frequently say to you, you don't know anything. The Chinese have 5,000 years of history. We know what we're doing. Okay. Now, these people weren't around 5,000 years ago, but the culture, while we were cavemen in Europe or wherever you were, bushmen, wherever you were, living in caves. They had societies back then. So I'm not going to discount the fact that they've been around a long time. And so some of that knowledge may trickle home. And so The Art of War was written back probably at the time of the Greeks, maybe even before, I forget the dates. I guess my point is that business, as I said in the previous one, business is a form of warfare, right? It can be just as violent and sometimes, but it can be just as devastating to economies, as the United States is finding out and the rest of the world is finding out when they offshore key industries outside their own borders. So if you have a long-term plan, okay, 20, 50, 100 years, then that is preferable to hollow out an enemy, make them a paper tiger, kind of like what happened to the Soviet Union, right? The United States forced the Soviet Union to spend and spend and spend beyond their means, and eventually, it's like if you just tried sprinting upstairs, eventually you have to stop. You just can't do it anymore. We all have our limits. So, and that's typically what he talks about in the book as well. If you do not know your limitations, if you do not know the enemy's limitations, then you're going to lose. So, unfortunately, the United States, the people of the United States, they have no idea what's going on. Truly have no idea what's going on. When you had Smedley Butler warning them, you had Eisenhower, right, warning us. You had Ron Paul for years warning us. You had Ross Perot warning us, and dozens and hundreds of us. Julian Assange was warning us. What do? We throw them in prison. Other people, they get killed. Or we try to kill them. I just finished reading chapter 12 of Bill Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse, and he talks about transparency. So, long story short, and I'm sure you already know this, but I'll say it anyways. The United States has a lot more pain to come, a lot more pain, because we allow this charade to continue. And there's many, many charades going on. That was chapter 3 of The Art of War. Please leave your comments. If Dan was here or somebody else was here, then I'd go back and forth with them, but that's it. Peace.